This is a story about two people. Their names are Emma and Daniel. Emma is 22 years old. She is kind, smart, and a little shy. She loves books, tea, and quiet places. She's learning to be a teacher at a small language school in the city. Daniel is 24 years old. He is clever, funny, and sometimes too loud. He loves sports, music, and being the center of attention. He is learning to be a designer and helps at the same language school. They are very different. And at the beginning of this story, they do not like each other at all. It is a rainy Monday morning. Emma walks quickly down the wet street, holding a blue umbrella in one hand and a bag of books in the other. She is almost late for work at the language school. Inside her bag are simple English storybooks, notebooks, and colored pens. She is excited because today she will teach her first group reading class alone. Emma reaches the school and closes her umbrella. The building is old but warm, with big windows and soft yellow lights. She wipes the rain from her glasses and takes a deep breath. "I can do this," she says softly to herself. "I am ready." She pushes open the glass door and steps inside. The small reception area smells like coffee and paper. On the wall, there are pictures of smiling students from many different countries. A big poster says, "Welcome, learn English, tell your story." Emma smiles at the poster. She walks to the front desk to sign in. Behind the desk sits Anna, the friendly receptionist. Anna has short brown hair, green glasses, and a big smile. "Good morning, Emma," Anna says. "Big day today, right?" "Yes," Anna answers. "My first reading class with the intermediate group. You'll do great. Room 3 is free for you, but," she looks at the computer screen and frowns a little, "you are sharing the room this week." "Sharing?" Emma asks. "With who?" "Let me see." Anna clicks a few times. "Ah, with Daniel." Emma's smile disappears. "Daniel?" she repeats. "Yes," Anna says. "He is doing a creative English project with some students. Drawing, designs, stories, like that. You will both use rooms 3. You in the morning, he in the afternoon. And sometimes you might overlap a little." Emma's stomach feels tight. She knows Daniel. He is always talking, always laughing loudly, always moving chairs and tables and posters. When he comes into a room, everything changes. He is not bad, but he is too much. Emma likes calm. "Oh," Emma says slowly. "Okay, room 3. She walks down the hall. Her shoes make small sounds on the floor. She passes room 1, where a teacher is explaining verbs. She passes room 2, where students are practicing speaking in pairs. At the end of the hall is room 3. The door is half open. Emma pushes it gently and steps inside. The room is a little messy. There are colored papers on the floor, markers without caps on the desk, and a big piece of paper on the wall with strange drawings, a cat with wings, a house on the moon, and some English words in different colors. Emma sighs. "This must be Daniel's," she thinks. She puts her bag on the teacher's desk and begins to clean the room. She picks up the markers and closes them carefully. She puts the colored papers in a neat pile. She moves the chairs into a circle just as she planned for her reading group. While she works, she plans her lesson in her head. First, we will read the story. Then we will talk about it. Then they will answer some questions in pairs. Yes, that will be good. Calm, organized. She finishes preparing just 5 minutes before class. She stands at the front of the room and looks at the chairs, the whiteboard, and the soft light from the window. She feels ready again. Students begin to arrive, one by one. Mina from Korea, Carlos from Brazil, Fatima from Morocco, Kenji from Japan, and others. They sit down and smile at Emma. "Good morning," Emma says kindly. "Welcome to our reading class." "Good morning," they answer. Emma's heart is full. She loves working with students from many countries. She loves helping them understand stories in English. She starts the class. "Today," she says, holding up a small book, "we will read a simple story about 2 friends, Maria and Alex. They have a problem and they must decide what to do. She writes the names on the board, Maria and Alex. The students lean forward with interest. Emma is just about to open the book when the door suddenly opens with a loud sound. Bang! Everyone jumps a little. A tall young man with messy dark hair and a big smile stands in the doorway. He is holding a box of points and a roll of tape. His blue t-shirt has small spots of red and yellow on it. It is Daniel. "Hey," he says tearfully. Sorry, just need to grab something." Emma feels her face grow warm. She walks to the door. "Daniel," she whispers, trying to stay calm, "I'm teaching a class right now." "Oh," he whispers back, but his whisper is not very quiet. The students can still hear him. Some of them smile. "I just need my posters," he says. "I left them here yesterday." He walks into the room and goes to the wall with the big strange drawing. Emma watches. Annoyed, he pulls the big paper off the wall and small pieces of tape fall to the floor. Then he looks at the chairs. "Wow," he says with a grin, "you changed everything." "Yes," Emma answers. "I organized the room for my reading class. I liked the chaos," he says with a grin. Emma does not smile. "My class has already started," she says. "Could you please leave quietly so we can continue?" Sure, he says. He takes the big paper and the box of paints. "Good luck with your class, Emma." He winks, turns, and leaves, closing the door behind him. Emma stands in silence for a moment. She turns back to the students. Some of them are still smiling. "This is Daniel," she explains shortly. "He uses this room in the afternoon." "He is fun," Carlos says, still smiling. Emma forces a small smile. "Yes, he is fun." Inside, she's thinking, he is loud, he is messy, he is not careful at all. She pushes away the feeling and focuses on her class again. "Okay," she says, "let's begin."
The class goes well. The students read the story of Maria and Alex. They talk about friendship and choices. They learn some new words. They ask questions and laugh a little. At the end, they clap for Emma. "Thank you, teacher," Mina says. "Your class is very clear." Emma feels happy and proud. After the students leave, Emma stays in room 3 to prepare for tomorrow. She writes some notes on a piece of paper and puts the chairs back in straight rows because that is how she likes them. She is just packing her bag when the door opens again. Daniel comes in, this time more quietly. He still has the big poster in his hands. "Are you done?" he asks. "Yes," Emma says. "The room is free now." He looks around. "You know," he says, "you don't need to make it so perfect every time." Emma looks at him. "What do you mean?" she asks. He walks to the chairs and moves 2 of them a little. "It doesn't have to be in perfect lines," he said. "Sometimes it's good to let students move the chairs themselves. It gives them freedom, makes them feel, less afraid." Emma feels a small fire inside her chest. She worked hard to make the room nice. She just finished her first class. Now he is telling her what to do? "I like it this way," she says, carefully. "It feels calm and clear, and I think my students like it too." Daniel shrugs. "Maybe," he says, "but learning can be a little messy. Messy is not always bad." He puts his poster on the wall again. This time he uses too much tape. The sound of ripping tape fills the room. Emma presses her lips together. "Please don't use so much tape," she says. "It leaves marks on the wall." Daniel laughs softly. "You sound like the head teacher," he says. "Relax, Emma, it's just a wall." "I'm not the head teacher," Emma replies. "I just want the room to look nice." "It does look nice," he says, turning to look at her. "Too nice, like a hospital." She stares at him. "A hospital?" she repeats, offended. "Well, maybe not a hospital," he says, thinking. "Maybe a library." "I like libraries," Emma says. "Libraries are quiet and beautiful." He smiles. "Exactly," he says. "Quiet. I don't do quiet. My classes are loud, full of color, like this." He opens the box of paints and shows her small cards with drawings. A flying dog, a giant flower, a city made of books. My students make stories from pictures, he explains, his eyes bright. They speak English without fear. They don't think about mistakes. They just talk and imagine. Emma looks at the cards. They are creative, yes, but the paint is still wet on some of them. If they touched desks, it would make a mess. Interesting, she says carefully, but my students learn by reading and thinking, not only by flying dogs. He laughs loudly. You say that like it's a bad thing, he says. Emma sighs. We are very different teachers, Daniel. Yes, he says with a grin. I'm Mr. Perfect Lines. You are Mr. Flying Dog. She frowned. That is not funny. He puts his hands up. Okay, he says. I will be gentle with the tape. Happy? She does not answer. She picks up her bag. I have to go, she says. See you tomorrow. See you, Miss Library, he says lightly. Emma walks out without looking back. As she goes down the hall, she feels angry and confused. Why does he make fun of her? Why is he so loud in her class? Why does he not understand that calm and order are important? She tells herself firmly, I don't like him. I will never like him. But this is only the beginning of their story. The next day, Emma comes to school early. She wants to have time in room 3 before anyone else, especially before Daniel. She walks down the hall, opens the door of room 3, and stops. Her mouth opens a little in surprise. The chairs are not in lines. They are in a big circle. In the middle of the circle, on one chair, is a note. Emma walks to the note and reads it. On the small paper, in blue ink, it says, Try a circle today. Your students can see each other's faces. Less like a test, more like a conversation. D. Emma's first feeling is anger. How dare he touch my broom again, she thinks. This is my class in the morning. He can do whatever he wants in the afternoon, but this is my time. Her second feeling is something else. Curiosity. She imagines her students sitting in a circle, seeing each other when they speak. It is true, a circle feels like a group, like a team. Lines feel like a teacher and many students. She stands there, thinking. Then she shakes her head. No, she whispers, he cannot decide how I teach. She begins to move the chairs back into lines, but her hands are slow. She remembers how shy Kenji was yesterday when he spoke. Maybe if he could look at Mina or Carlos, he would feel less alone. She stops. She looks at the circle again. Maybe she can try it, just once, as an experiment. Not because Daniel said it, just because it might help her students. She sighs deeply. Fine, she said softly. Today we will try the circle. She takes the note and puts it in her notebook. She is not sure why she keeps it. The students enter the room. Wow, says Carlos. A circle today? Yes, Emma says. We will sit like this, so we can see each other better. I like it. Feels friendly. Emma feels a small, uncomfortable thought in her mind. Maybe Daniel was right about this, the thought says. She pushes the thought away and starts the class. Today's story is about a boy who moves to a new city and must make new friends. The topic is feelings, change, and courage. In the circle, the students talk more than yesterday. Mina looks at Kenji when she asks him a question. Kenji smiles shyly and answers a little more than usual. Carlos makes a joke and the whole circle laughs together. Emma feels the group become closer, like a small family. She feels happy and also annoyed. Now I have to say thank you to him, she thinks, and I don't want to. After class, she stays again to write notes. She writes, Circle helped. Students talked more. Maybe use circle once a week. She does not write, thanks to Daniel, but she thinks it. The door opens. Daniel appears with his paint box and big smile. Hey, Emma, he says. How was class? She looks at the circle of chairs, then at him. It was fine, she says. He raises an eyebrow. Just fine, he asks. No special discoveries? No magic circles? She crosses her arms. I don't like that you changed my room, she says. You should ask before you do that. He holds up his hands again in a sign of peace. You're right, he says simply. I'm sorry, I should have asked. She is surprised. She expected him to make another joke. But, he adds, looking at the chairs, it looks like you used the circle anyway. She looks down. Yes, she says. And? He asks. She takes a breath. They talked more, she admits. It was good for them. A big smile grows on his face. See, he says, Miss Perfect Lines can try new shapes. Emma sighs. But you still should not touch my room without asking, she repeats. Okay, he says. Deal. No more secret chair changes. He walks to the whiteboard and starts to erase it. Emma stops him. Wait, she says. Please don't erase my notes. He looks at the board. There are a few words and questions from her class. New city. Feelings. What is difficult about change? I like these, he says. I can use them. He picks up a different color marker and under Emma's words he writes, Draw your new city of dreams. Where would you go? He steps back and smiles. There, he says. Now the board is ours. Shared. Emma looks at the board. Her careful questions. His big creative sentence. It looks strange and interesting. You mix everything, she says. Life is a mix, he answers. She thinks he's trying to sound wise. It annoys her. But also, a very small part of her agrees. She picks up her bag. I have to prepare for tomorrow, she says. Please remember, no more changing my room without asking. Yes, teacher, he says in a playful voice. She leaves, shaking her head. Days pass. Every morning, Emma teaches her reading class in room 3. Every afternoon, Daniel uses the same room for his creative project. They never share the room at the same time, but they see the signs of each other's work. Emma finds small paint stains on a desk. She cleans them and is annoyed. Daniel finds a list of vocabulary words on the board. He circles some money and uses them in his art games with the students. Sometimes Emma leaves a small note on the board. Please wash the paint cups. E. Sometimes Daniel writes under it. Please smile more. D. Emma rolls her eyes when she reads his messages, but she does smile just a little. She still tells herself, I don't like him. But she talks about him at home. Every evening, Emma lives with her older sister, Lily, in a small apartment not far from the school. Lily is 26 years old, works as a nurse, and loves hearing about Emma's day. One night, they sit at the small kitchen table, eating pasta. How was work? Lily asks, twirling spaghetti on her fork. Busy, Emma says. My students are preparing for a reading test. And, Lily asks, how is Mr. Flying Dog? Emma frowns. Why do you call him that? Because you told me about his flying dog drawings, Lily says, smiling. So, did he do something crazy again? He always does, Emma says. He leaves paint everywhere, he draws on the board, he moves the chairs, he writes stupid notes. But, Lily says slowly, you also said your students talk more now that he suggested the circle. Emma hesitates. Yes, that is true. And you told me about the time he used your vocabulary list in his art class. The students remembered the words better? Yes, Emma says again. And you told me he makes the students laugh a lot. That's nice, isn't it? Emma looks at her pasta. Yes, she says softly. It is nice for them. Lily looks at her little sister and smiles. But not for you, she asks. Emma sighs. He is too much. Too loud, too messy, too free. He doesn't plan enough. He just does things. I don't understand how he can teach like that. Lily takes a sip of water. Maybe you can learn something from him, she suggests. Emma makes a face. From him, she says. Yes, Lily answers calmly. You are careful, organized, and serious. Those are good things. He is free, creative, and relaxed. Those are also good things. Imagine if a teacher could be a little of both. Emma thinks about this. Maybe, she says slowly, but he makes fun of me. He teases you, Lily says. That is different. Maybe he likes you. Emma almost laughs. Likes me? She says. No, we are enemies. Lily raises an eyebrow. Are you sure? She asks. Sometimes people tease the people they notice the most. Emma shakes her head. He is just annoying, and I will not change my whole teaching style because of him. Lily smiles. Of course not, she says. You will change it because of your students, and maybe he will change a little because of you. Emma looks at the table. She does not want to think about Daniel changing because of her. She does not want to think about him at all. But when she goes to bed that night, she sees in her mind a circle of chairs and student faces, and behind them, in the corner of her mind, the quick smile of Daniel. She tries to push it away and fall asleep. Part 3. The Big Mistake. On Friday, Emma is very nervous. The head teacher, Mr. Harris, walks into the teacher's room in the morning. He's an older man with gray hair, kind eyes, and glasses. Good morning, everyone, he says. Next month, we will have an open day. New students and parents will visit the school. We must show them our best work. All the teachers look up. Mr. Harris continues. I want one special project from each group. A reading project, a speaking project, a creative project, any type. We will put them in the big hall on tables and walls.
Emma, he says, maybe your reading class can prepare something. A story project, perhaps. He looks at Daniel. And Daniel, your creative English group can also do something colourful. Drawings, posters, maybe a small show. Daniel smiles. Of course, Daniel says. We will make something amazing. Mr. Harris smiles back. I trust you, he says. Please give me your ideas by next week. When he leaves, the teachers start talking excitedly. Emma feels a little worried but also excited. She wants to do something good for her students. She wants her project to be clear and beautiful. She sits at a small table with her notebook and begins to write ideas. Maybe we can choose one story and make a big poster about it, she thinks. Or we can write short stories and put them on the wall. Or... She stops when she hears a familiar voice. Hey, Emma, says Daniel, dropping into the chair across from her. Thinking about the open day? Yes, she answers. I want my students to make a reading project. Same, he says. Well, not reading, more storytelling with pictures and maybe music. Emma hides a small smile. Of course, she thinks. Flying dogs with music. Out loud, she says, That sounds like you. He laughs. What about you? He asks. What's your big serious idea? I don't know yet, she says honestly. Maybe a story wall or a book of short stories. He leans forward. Your students are intermediate level, right? He asks. Yes, she says. He taps his fingers on the table. What if, he says slowly, we mix our groups? Emma blinks. What? She asks. Mix, he repeats. Your reading group and my creative group. One big project. Reading and pictures. Serious and crazy. Calm and loud. He smiles widely. Like us. Emma feels her face get warm. Like us, she thinks. We are not a project. Out loud, she says, I don't think that's a good idea. Our styles are very different. Exactly, he says. That's why it's interesting.
Your students can write the stories, mine can draw them. We can show everyone how English can live in books and pictures together. Emma hesitates. The idea is not bad. Her students sometimes have trouble imagining scenes from stories. His students sometimes speak without clear structure. Maybe they could help each other. But work with Daniel for weeks. Her stomach shields tight. I'm not sure, she says. I need to think about it. He nods. Okay, he says, still smiling. Think, but don't think too long. Mr. Harris wants ideas by next week, and if we do this together, it will be big, the best project in the hall. He stands up and leaves the room, whistling a little tune. Emma looks at her notebook. She writes, idea, joint project with Daniel. Then she crosses it out. Then she writes it again. That afternoon, something bad happens. Emma is in room 3, preparing for Monday's class. The students have left. The room is quiet. On the teacher's desk is a stack of homework papers. Emma wants to take them to the teacher's room to check them. She puts her notebook on top of the homework and walks out. In the hall, she meets Anna, the receptionist. Emma, Anna says, can you help me carry some books from the office? Of course, Emma says. She puts the homework and her notebook on a small table in the hall. I'll take them in a minute, she thinks. She goes with Anna to the office, helps her with some heavy books, and then gets busy talking to another teacher. After a while, she looks at the clock and gasps. Oh no, she says, my student's homework. She runs back down the hall. The small table is empty. No homework, no notebook. She feels cold. What? She whispers. She looks around. Maybe someone moved them. She checks the teacher's room. She checks the reception. She checks room 3 again. Nothing. Her heart beats fast. Those homework papers are important. The students work hard. Also, her notebook has all her plans, ideas, and notes. She goes to Anna. Anna, she says, trying to stay calm, have you seen a stack of homework papers and a blue notebook? Anna shakes her head. No, she says. Sorry. Emma feels sick. She checks everywhere again. Still nothing. Then she remembers something. Daniel, he usually comes around this time for his afternoon class. Maybe he saw the papers and notebook and moved to them. She walks quickly to room 3 and opens the door without knocking. Inside, Daniel is with his students. They are sitting in small groups, drawing and talking happily. Music plays softly from his phone. Emma walks to him, her face serious. Daniel, she says. He turns, surprised. Emma, he says, everything okay? Have you seen a stack of homework papers and a blue notebook? She asks. No, he says, not today. Are you sure? She insists. I left them on a table in the hall. Now they're gone. He frowns. I really haven't seen them, he says. She folds her arms. You always move things. You move chairs, you move posters, you move papers. Maybe you moved my things and forgot. He looks hurt. I said I didn't, he answers. Why would I touch your homework? Because you always touch everything, she says, louder than she means to. Some students look up. The room becomes quieter. Emma's cheeks burn. We can talk outside, Daniel says calmly. He turns to his students. Guys, keep working on your monsters. I'll be right back. He walks out into the hall. Emma follows. They stand facing each other, the door half closed behind them. Emma, he says quietly, I really didn't move your homework or notebook. I know they're important to you. She looks into his eyes. They seem honest, but she is upset, and when she is upset, her words become sharp. Maybe you didn't mean to. Maybe you just picked them up with your things. You're always so careless. He takes a small breath. Careless? He repeats. Yes, she says. You don't plan and you don't think about order. You just do whatever feels fun. And now my homework is gone. For a moment, she sees something closing his face. His smile disappears. That's not fair, he says. I work hard. I care about my students. Just because my desk looks messy doesn't mean my mind is. She opens her mouth, then closes it. He continues. You always think your way is the only right way. Straight lines, quiet voices, everything under control. But life is not always under control, Emma. Her throat feels tight. This is not about life. This is about my homework. It disappeared, and you're the one who always changes things in this hallway. He stares at her. I didn't take it, he says slowly. But if you want to believe I did, I can't stop you. He turns and goes back into his classroom. Emma stands in the hall, feeling shaky. She is angry, but also something else. She is not sure if she is right. She spends the rest of the day searching again, asking other teachers, even checking the trash. Nothing. That night at home, she tells Lily everything. And you think he took them? Lily asks. I don't know, Emma says, her voice tired. I just know they're gone, and he always touches things. Did you see him take them? Lily asks. No, Emma says. Lily is quiet for a moment. Maybe it was a mistake by someone else, a cleaner, another teacher, a student. Emma covers her face with her hands. I shouted at him, she says, in front of his students. I called him careless. Do you think you were too hard on him? Lily asks gently. Emma thinks of his face when she said careless, how his smile disappeared. Yes, she whispers. Maybe, then you should say sorry, Lily says simply. Emma bites her lip. But what if he did take them? She asks. Lily looks at her. Do you really think he did? Emma remembers his eyes in the hall, clear, hurt, and angry. Slowly, she shakes her head. No, I don't think so. Then someone else made a mistake, Lily says. Maybe you too. You left them alone in the hall. Emma feels tears in her eyes. You're right, she says. I was also careless. She goes to bed with a heavy heart. On Monday morning, Emma walks into school feeling nervous. She has to tell her students that their homework is gone. She feels terrible. She goes to the reception to sign in. On the front desk is a familiar blue notebook, her blue notebook. Beside it is a stack of homework papers, her homework papers. Her heart jumps. What? She says. Anna looks up. Oh, Emma, good you're here. The cleaner found these in the copy room on Friday night. Someone must have put them there by mistake. Emma feels her face grow hot. The copy room? She says. Suddenly, she remembers. Before going to help Anna with the books, she had planned to make copies of one homework paper for later. She must have gone into the copy room with the stack and notebook, then left them there and forgotten. It was her mistake. Not Daniel's, not anyone else's. Hers. She feels very small. I'm so stupid, she whispers. Anna smiles kindly. It happens, she says. We all forget things. Emma takes the notebook and homework, her hands shaking a little. She knows what she has to do. After her morning class, she waits in the teacher's room. When Daniel comes in, laughing with another teacher, she stands up. Daniel, she says softly, can we talk? He looks at her, his face cool. Sure, he says. They step into a quiet corner near the window. Emma holds the notebook in her hands like a shield. I found my homework and notebook, but Cleaner found them in the copy room on Friday night. His expression does not change. So it wasn't me, he says. No, she answers, feeling shame. It was me. I forgot them there. I made a mistake. He looks at her, waiting. She takes a deep breath. I'm sorry, she says. I accused you without proof. I shouted at you in front of your students. I called you careless. That was wrong. For a moment, he says nothing. Then he sighs. I was really angry, he admits. I don't like when people think I don't care about my work. I know, she says quietly, and I do know that you care. Your students are always happy in your class. He's surprised by this. You noticed that? He asks. Of course, she says. I share a room with your posters and paint. I see their faces when they come out. They're always smiling. A small smile appears on his lips, but it's different from his usual big grin. Softer. Thank you, he says. She swallows. I also said you don't plan, she adds, but I'm sure you do, just in a different way from me. He nods slowly. I plan in my head, not always on paper, but I do plan. I think about every activity, every game. I believe you, she says. They stand in silence for a moment. Then he says, I'm sorry too. She looks up, surprised. For what? She asks. For teasing you so much. Calling you Miss Perfect Lines, Miss Library. Sometimes I forget that my jokes can hurt. She feels a strange warmth in her chest. I don't hate those names, she admits, but sometimes you use them when I'm serious, and it feels like you don't respect me. He nods seriously. I do respect you. You're a good teacher. Your students always talk about your stories, and the room always feels safe when you finish with it. Safe? She repeats. Yeah, he says, like a place where it's okay to be quiet. Some students need that. She looks at him, really looks at him, maybe for the first time. He is still the same Daniel, messy hair, paint on his fingers, bright eyes. But now she also sees something else, honesty, care, and a little bit of shyness behind his jokes. Thank you, he says. He smiles. So, are we still enemies? He asks lightly. She thinks for a moment. Maybe not enemies, maybe co-workers who sometimes fight about chairs. He laughs. Okay, co-workers who sometimes fight about chairs, that's progress. She takes a breath. And about the open day, she begins. Yes, he asks. I thought more about your idea, about a joint project, reading and pictures together. His eyes light up, and, he asks eagerly, I think, she says slowly, it could be good for the students if we plan it well, together. His smile grows. Really? He says. You want to do it? She nods. Yes, she says, but we must plan it carefully, in writing, with steps, and we must respect each other's style. He puts his hand over his heart in a dramatic way. I promise, he says, we will make a plan, a beautiful, organized plan, with colors. She can't stop a small laugh. With colors, she repeats. Then it's a deal, he says, holding out his hand. She looks at his paint-stained fingers, then shakes his hand. For a second, his hand is warm in hers. Her heart jumps just a little. She lets go quickly. Okay, she says, let's tell Mr. Harris our idea. They walk together down the hall, side by side. For the next few days, Emma and Daniel meet after classes to plan their joint open day project. They sit at a table in the teacher's room with notebooks, pens, and colored markers. Emma opens her notebook to a clean page and writes at the top, Open Day Project, Reading plus Creative English. First, she says, we need a clear goal. What do we want the students to learn? Daniel leans back in his chair. I want them to feel that English is alive, he says, not just in books, but in their own stories and pictures. Emma writes, goal, students create their own stories and show them in words and pictures. She nods. I want them to practice reading and writing, she adds, but also speaking. Maybe they can explain their stories to visitors on open day. He smiles. Perfect, he says. So, reading, writing, speaking, and drawing. He picks up a green marker and draws 4 small icons at the top of the page. A book, a pencil, a mouth, and a paintbrush. Visual plan, he says proudly. Emma tries not to smile, but fails. Okay, she says, step by step. For once, she's the one talking a lot and he's the one listening carefully. Step 1, choose a theme, she says. All stories should connect somehow. It will look better on the wall. Love, he suggests quickly. She blinks. Love? She repeats. Yeah, he says. Everyone likes love stories. Her cheeks feel warm. That's too big, she says quickly, and too, I don't know, maybe something simple, like a day that changed my life. He thinks. That's good, he says. It can be funny, sad, or romantic, anything, and it's personal. She writes, theme, a day that changed my life. Step 2, she continues, my students read a model story in class. We talk about structure, beginning, middle, end. Then they plan their own stories. Good, he says. And step 3, my students come to your class one day. They listen to the stories, ask questions, and start to imagine pictures. Emma looks up, surprised. In my class? She asks. Yes, he says. We mix groups, make them meet each other. It will help shy students speak more. She thinks of Kenji and Mina and of how the circle helped them. All right, she says, but we need rules, clear instructions. Some of your students are very loud. He laughs. I know, he says. We can make mixed pairs. One of your students, one of mine, working together. She nods. Good idea, she says. Then, step 4, they draw the pictures in your class. And step 5, we put the stories and pictures together on big posters. He claps his hands once. Yes, he says. We can also add a short recording. Students can record themselves reading their stories. On open day, visitors can listen with headphones. She hesitates. That's a lot of work, she says. Recording, editing. I can do the technical part, he says quickly. I like that stuff. You can help students with pronunciation. She looks at him. You're really serious about this, she says. Of course, he answers. It's our first project together. The word our makes her heart jump again. She writes all the steps carefully. The page becomes full of words and small drawings, her careful handwriting, his wild arrows and icons. At the end, she looks at the page and feels proud. It's a good plan, she says quietly. It is, he agrees. See what happens when we mix perfect lines and flying dogs? She gives him a look. No flying dogs this time, she says. Okay, he says, pretending to be sad. No flying dogs. Maybe just one little bird on a poster corner. She laughs before she can stop herself. They take the plan to Mr. Harris. He reads it slowly, his eyebrows rising. This is excellent, he says. Very creative and also very clear. I like the theme. I like the mix of groups. I like the recordings idea. He looks at them. You two make a good team, he says. Emma feels her face warm again. Daniel grins. Thank you, they say at the same time. The next week is busy. On Tuesday, Daniel's creative students come into Emma's reading class for the first time. Emma stands at the front of room 3, a little nervous. Her reading students sit in a circle. There are some extra chairs for the visitors. Daniel walks in with his group, smiling. Welcome, everyone, Emma says. Today we will work together. The room is suddenly full. Students from different countries, different classes, different levels of energy. Some are quiet, some are laughing, some look shy, some look curious. Emma and Daniel explain the project. You will work in pairs, Emma says. One student from my reading class, one from Daniel's creative class. You will share one story. My students, Daniel adds, will listen and ask questions to help imagine pictures. They will not correct your grammar. That's Emma's job. The students laugh. Emma continues. Our theme is a day that changed my life. You will think of a real or imaginary day. Then write a short story and draw 1 or 2 pictures for it. On open day, people will read, look, and listen to your work. They mix the students into pairs. Emma walks around the room helping with ideas and words. Daniel walks around asking things like, what color is the sky in your memory? Was this day noisy or quiet? Did it feel heavy or light? Emma listens to him and feels a strange respect grow. He asks questions she'd never think to ask. His questions help the students feel their stories more. She stops beside Kenji and a tall girl named Sophia from Daniel's class. Kenji is speaking softly. Last year, I missed my train to my university. I was very angry. But then I met an old man at the station. He was playing violin. The music changed something. I decided to study music more seriously. That day changed my life. Sophia's eyes are bright. I can draw that. The station, the old man, the music, and color. Her heart feels full. She looks across the room. Daniel is sitting on a desk listening to Carlos and a boy from his group. Carlos says, the day I came to this country, my plane was very late. I thought I would never arrive. But when I came out, my host family was still there waiting with a big sign. I felt searching for the word. Welcome, Daniel suggests. Yes, welcome. Carlos says. Emma watches Daniel give Carlos a small thumbs up. It is simple, but warm. Something changes inside her. She does not only see the loud, messy artist now, she sees a real teacher, a good one. After class, when the students leave, Emma and Daniel stay in the rental. That was amazing, Emma says, a little out of breath. Yeah, he says, smiling, your students have great stories. So do yours, she says. They ask good questions. He looks at her. We did this together, he says. She nods. Yes, together. There is a moment of silence, not uncomfortable, just full. Then she breaks it. I was wrong about you, she says quietly, when I thought you weren't serious about teaching. He raises an eyebrow. And I was wrong about you when I thought you were just a rule book in human form. She laughs. A rule book in human form, she refutes. He laughs too. Okay, not just a rule book, he corrects himself. Maybe a book with some secret pictures inside. Her stomach feels light. Maybe you talk too much, she says gently. Definitely, he agrees. They smile at each other. Something between them is different now. Not enemies, not just co-workers. Something else. Still quiet, still new. The weeks before open day go fast. In Emma's class, students write their stories, edit them, and practice reading them out loud. Emma helps them with grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. In Daniel's class, students draw and paint pictures for the stories. He helps them with layout, color, and feelings. Sometimes Emma visits his class. Sometimes he visits hers. They see each other teaching again and again. Each time, they understand the other a little better. One afternoon, Emma stands at the back of Daniel's class and watches. He is sitting on the floor with 3 students. They have put their papers all around them. The drawings are strong and bright. This one, he says, pointing to a picture of a small girl standing in the rain, is beautiful. But what is missing? The student thinks. Maybe her face, she says. Exactly, he says. We can't see how she feels. Show her eyes, show her mouth. Is she crying? Is she laughing in the rain? The day that changed her life, how did it feel? Emma watches the student nod and start to draw again. After class, she says to him, You talk about feelings a lot. Feelings are the center of stories, he says. Without feelings, it's just events. She thinks about this for a long time. The next day, in her own class, she writes on the board, event versus feeling. She says to her students, Don't only tell me what happened, tell me how you felt, sad, excited, afraid, brave. She sees their writing change. It becomes more alive. Later, she tells Daniel, I stole your idea, she says, feelings and stories. Good, he says with a grin. I steal grammar rules from you all the time. How? She asks. He shrugs. I look at your notes on the board before I erase them. Then I use your words in games. The students think it's just fun, but they're practicing grammar. She shakes her head, half annoyed, half amused. You're impossible, she says. You like it, he answers. She opens her mouth to say no, but the word does not come. Instead, she feels her heart beat faster. Maybe I do, a small voice inside her says. She pushes the thought away. One rainy evening, after most people have left school, Emma is still in room 3. She is putting the finished stories into plastic covers to protect them. The room is quiet, except for the soft sound of rain on the windows. She is almost done when the door opens. Daniel steps in, his hair a little wet from the rain. You're still here, he says. Yes, she says. I wanted to finish this today. He looks at the table. There are many stories in clear plastic. Each one has a title, the student's name, and a small drawing. He picks up one. The day I spoke to my father in English, he reads. This is Fatima's, right? Yes, Emma says. Her father lives in another country. They could not speak easily before. Now they can talk more. It was an important day for her. He reads a little quietly. "This is really good," he says. "Simple but strong." He puts it down and looks at Emma. "You help them find the right words," he says. "That's a kind of magic." She looks away, embarrassed. "It's just teaching," she says. "Not everyone can do it like you," he says softly. Her cheeks feel hot again. "Nobody has ever told me that before," she says. "Well, then they are blind," he says. She laughs a little. "You always say big things," she says. "Because they're true," he says. There's a small pause. "Do you need help?" he asks. "With the plastic covers?" She nods. "Yes," she says, "if you're free." He comes closer to the table. Their shoulders almost touch. She can smell a light, clean smell of soap and paint. They work together in silence for a few minutes. Emma feels strange, calm, and nervous at the same time. Suddenly, a loud sound of thunder shakes the window. Emma jumps. Without thinking, she moves closer to Daniel. "Wow," he says softly. "Big one." She feels foolish. "I don't like thunder," she admits. "Why?" he asks. She hesitates. "When I was little, there was a big storm one night. The roof of our old house had a problem. Water came in. I was very scared. I still remember the sound." He looks at her with gentle eyes. "I didn't know that," he says. "Of course you didn't. I never told you." "Well, we didn't talk much about anything before. We were too busy being enemies." She smiles. "That's true," she says. He looks out the window at the rain. "I like storms," he says. "They make me feel alive, like the sky is painting." She laughs. "Of course you would say that. The sky is painting." He shrugs. "It is," he says. "Look at those colors." They stand for a moment watching the rain together. Then he says very quietly, "I'm glad we're not enemies anymore." She turns to look at him. His face is serious now. "Me too," she says. Their eyes meet. For a second, the world feels very small. Just the room, the rain, the table with stories, and the space between them. Her heart beats faster, louder. She looks away quickly. "We should finish these," she says, her voice a little too right. "Yeah, open day is coming." They go back to work, but the feeling in the room has changed. Something unsaid is there, between the plastic covers and the sound of rain. Part 6 of A Confession and a New Beginning. Open day arrives bright and sunny, as if the sky wants to say sorry for all the rain. The school is full of people, new students, parents, friends, and current students. There are balloons at the entrance and music in the hall. In the big hall, tables and walls are covered with projects from all the classes. There are grammar posters, vocabulary games, cultural displays, and in one corner, a large, beautiful wall of stories and pictures. This is Emma and Daniel's corner. At the top of the wall, a big sign says, "A day that changed my life. Stories and pictures by students of Room 3. Underneath are all the stories in plastic covers with bright drawings next to them. There are also 2 pairs of headphones connected to a small device. Visitors can listen to students reading their own stories. Emma stands by the wall, wearing a simple blue dress. Daniel stands near her, in a clean shirt, still with one small spot of paint on the sleeve. Students move around proudly, explaining their stories to visitors. "This is my day," Kanaji says to a woman, pointing to his picture of the train station and the old man with the violin. "This is the day I arrived in this country," Carlo says to a young boy, showing the airport and the big sign. Emma and Daniel watch, their hearts full. "They're amazing," Emma says. "They really are," Daniel agrees. Mr. Harris comes over, smiling widely. "This is wonderful," he says. "One of the best projects we have ever had." Emma blushes. "Thank you," she says. Daniel grins. "We had a good plan," he says. "Thanks to Emma." "And your crazy ideas," she adds. Mr. Harris laughs. "Never lose your mix. You two work very well together." He walks away to talk to other visitors. Emma and Daniel look at each other. "I think we can call this a success," he says. "Yes," she says, "it is." As the day goes on, they take turns talking to visitors. When Emma gets tired, Daniel jumps in with a joke. When Daniel starts to talk too fast, Emma adds higher explanations. They're like two parts of one song, different but fitting together. At the end of the day, when most visitors have gone, the hall grows quiet. Some teachers are taking down their projects, but Emma and Daniel leave their wall for last. "I'd like that," she says. There's a pause. He takes a breath. "Emma," he asks. "Yes," she answers. "I want to tell you something, and I'm a little scared." She is surprised. "Scared?" she repeats. "You are never scared." He gives a short, nervous laugh. "That's not true," he says. "I'm scared now." He looks at the wall instead of at her. "When we first met," he says slowly, "I thought you were cold, like a closed book. I made jokes because I didn't know how to talk to you. I thought you just liked making fun of me," she says. "I did like teasing you," he admits, "but not because I hated you, because I noticed you. You were different from me, very different, and that made me curious." Her heart jumps. He continues, "When we started this project, I began to see more of you. How you care about every student, how hard you work, how your face changes when a student understands something, how you stay late to put stories in plastic covers." He smiles a little. "How you jump at thunder," he says softly. She feels heat rise in her cheeks again. "You remember that?" she asks. "Of course I do. I remember many small things about you, more than I planned." He takes a deeper breath. "I think," he says, his voice almost shaking, "I think I started to like you, not as an enemy, not as just a coworker, but more." The hall seems to go completely quiet. Emma Hart's facing so fast she can hear it in her ears. She does not speak. He finally looks at her.
"I told myself it was crazy," he says quickly. "We're so different. You like order, I like chaos. You like quiet, I like noise. But when we are together, it feels right. Like your lines and my colors belong on the same page." He gives a small, sad smile. "I know you might not feel the same," he says, "and that's okay. I don't want things to be strange between us. I just didn't want to hide it anymore." There's a long moment of silence. Emma looks at him. She sees his messy hair, his tired eyes from the long day, the small paint spot on his sleeve, and the fear in his face. She thinks of all the days before. The first loud entrance into her class, the circle of chairs, the fight in the hallway, the apology, the shared plan, the work, the jokes, the respite, the evening in the storm. She hears Lily's voice in her head. "Maybe he likes you." Her own voice answers in her heart. "Maybe I like him too." She lets out a slow breath. "Daniel," she says softly, "I also want to tell you something." His eyes search her face. "When we first met," she says, "I thought you were a problem. Loud, messy, not serious. I sometimes went home and complained about you to my sister." He gives a short laugh. "I deserved some of that," he says. "But," she continues, "I also watched you. I saw how you talked to students, how you made them feel brave, how you turned mistakes into games, how you made English feel fun." Her eyes feel hot, but not with anger this time. "You were right about some things," she adds. "My lines were too straight. My room was too quiet. I was afraid of trying new shapes. You pushed me to change. I didn't like it at first, but now I'm grateful." He looks at her, hope slowly growing in his eyes. "I used to say I didn't like you," she says. "I told myself that many times. But somewhere I stopped saying it. I just didn't notice when."
She takes one small step closer to him. When we worked together on this project, she says, I felt something. When you were in the room, it was different. Sometimes louder and more difficult, yes, but also more alive. I started to look forward to seeing you. Her voice is small on the last words. You did? He asks. Yes, she answers. She looks down at her hands. And now, she says quietly, when I think of next week and not seeing you so much after this project, I feel a little sad. She forces herself to look up. I don't know everything I feel, she says honestly. I'm not like you. I don't jump into things. But I know this. I don't only see you as a coworker anymore or as an enemy. I see you as someone I care about, maybe more than I expected. His face changes slowly, like the sun rising. Daniel, he says. Yes? She whispers. Can I take you to dinner sometime? Outside the school, no chairs to fight about. Just us, talking. She feels a small, quiet joy rise in her chest. I would like that, she says. His smile is bright, but there is still a gentle question in it. Really? He asks. Really, she says. He laughs once, softly, with relief. Okay, then it's a date. She bites her lip, then smiles. It's a date, she repeats. They stand there in front of the wall of stories, not touching, but closer than before. The hall door opens. A student calls, Teacher, teacher, we forgot one poster in the classroom. Emma and Daniel step back a little. We're coming, Emma calls. The student runs off again. Emma looks at Daniel. We have to help them, she says. Of course, that's what we do. They start to walk toward the door together. Just before they leave the hall, their hands brush. Emma feels a small, quiet shock, like a tiny good thunder inside her. She does not move her hand away. Very gently, Daniel takes her hand in his. She looks at him. Is this okay? He asks softly. She nods. Yes, this is okay. They walk down the hall, fingers interlaced, past room 1 and room 2, toward room 3, the place where they started as enemies. Now, the same room is the place where something new is beginning. Not enemies, not just coworkers. Something else. Something that, like their stories on the wall, is still being written.